Hey y'all. So I am here with my two
Hey,
friends, Mel and Joss of Basic and Boujie podcast, which if you haven't subscribed, listen, given a 5-star review, you're missing out. Okay. And of course, Pablo Escobar has to join us today. So ladies, I want to know, first of all, two things. Why is the Latinx community so important to our culture overall and our culture in this country? And what's a great way to honor and celebrate the Latinx community during Hispanic History Month during September?
Okay. Josh, you want to go? You want me to
you
go?
you can go. I'll
Okay.
go after you.
All right. I think just in general, just the term Latinx, it's about inclusivity. It's not a term that I use, but it's a term that I acknowledge, and it is about inclusivity. And maybe if it would have came out when I needed it to be included, because I don't look Dominican, whatever that means,
Right.
maybe that's something that I would have adapted earlier,
Sure.
but it's kind of like out of habit. But I think it was absolutely needed because it does include everyone. Our language itself is a masculine, feminine, it's either Latino if you're a man or Latina, or you just use Latin, but the Latinx, it does include everyone. And I think it is important. I think a way to honor the Latin community during the month of September and all year long is to educate yourself and to not group everyone together. I
Yeah.
think just start with educating yourself is a good way to start.
Yeah. And I think, Mel, I think that makes a great point because when Latinx came out, I mean, you both know I grew up in South Florida, so that was a little clunky for me. And I mean, just based on who I am, I always celebrate everybody every day the year. But I found that a little clunky just because of knowing the male female piece of the language. And yeah, so that's really, really helpful. What about you, Joss? Why is it important to this country? And I mean, I'm somebody who knows. So this is for those people that don't know or may not be awake to it yet.
Yeah, to go from what Mel was saying, educate yourself on the history of the Latino community in this country, right?
Yeah.
My mom jokes that like right now she's in Puerto Rico. To her, she says, I'm going back to my country. That's a joke to her, right? Because she knows she's a part of this country. Some people don't recognize Puerto Ricans, for example, as a part of this country. So it's more than just, the food that we've brought that introduced to the world. It's more than the music we've introduced to the world. It's an entire culture. It's a way of living. It's who we are. It's very much like other cultures, very loud and proud.
Mhm.
And I think some people take offense to that because they think loud and proud is disrespectful or you're being extra or too much. It's educate yourself in the Hispanic community and the cultures, because just like we are all one, we all have our differences and our specialties, if you want to say that. So it's we don't all look alike. Like me and Mel are both Hispanic, we're Latinas, but we look very different. And within our families, you can see a variety of shapes and sizes and colors. So I think it's education is key in learning who we are, where we're from, what we've contributed, and to be included in the world, what we can continue to contribute to society, to humanity, to like any culture.
Yeah, I love that. And I think back to when Anthony Bourdain was still alive and everybody was talking about getting rid of undocumented workers. And he was like, listen, the entire restaurant and hospitality industry in this country will collapse.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like knowing that education piece is so key. And I don't remember who said it, but because there was a time when I was diving into all of this and really like learning the history and all of that. And I thought, well, that's not really active. And that's a lie. That's the first piece of becoming somebody who can advocate for equality, is to learn why it's so important. And I think a lot of our cultures that make up the United States as a whole really are the ones that we need to acknowledge we're standing on the shoulders of these people, whether it's your mother or my ancestors who came over here from Italy. And I always laugh when people say, oh, I'm Puerto Rican or I'm Dominican and I don't look like it. And I'm like, well, when I was blonde, I was, people were like, wait, you're Italian? I'm like, uh-huh. Yeah. And by the way, my people don't fondle people and use our culture. I just want to say that. Are we an affectionate culture? Absolutely. But we don't sexually harass people and call each
Not
other.
a pass. It's not
Just,
a pass.
you know, but back to, you know, the Latinx community and growing up in South Florida, it's such a rich culture, and, you know, having arepas and learning how to cook tostones and all of that is just, I feel like by not acknowledging it, not honoring it, you're missing out on this richness of life, this flavor of life. So if people were to have one takeaway from this conversation that we're having, which is very brief and basic, and I think all of us are saying, go educate yourself. What would you say to them?
Let's see. I would say that the takeaway would be to educate yourself and to just start with educating yourself and learning about the different Latin communities.
Yep.
Because we have our own differences within our own communities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And even sometimes the same version of a food is very different.
Right, exactly.
You know, and I think as a foodie and the wife of a chef, food is a great way to start immersing yourself in a different culture. So I just wanted to say thanks to Mel and Joss for taking time out, and please listen to their podcast. It's incredible, Basic and Boujie podcast. You can find it on all the major channels. Follow them on Instagram, and you know, they're not only friends, but I think they're my soul sisters. You two occupy a special place in my heart, and I love what you're doing, and of course love supporting you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, ladies.
You too.
You too.
Bye.